Hello YouTube, my name is Jason and this is LineMan. Today we are going to discuss operators. The subject of operators is a lot bigger than the other subjects that we went over recently. So this one's actually probably going to take quite a bit of tutorials because I'm going to try to cover as much as I can. I'm not going to cover the shift changes, the bitwise shift and the bit shift, or any of that stuff, the bitwises or the bit shifts, mainly because they're not very commonly used. If you ever do have to use them, I would suggest going to the Oracle website and looking it up. They have a pretty good tutorial on it. Now let me tell you a little bit about operators. Operators are special symbols that perform specific operations on one or more operands, and they return a result. Now let's go ahead and open up I'm going to give NetBeans another shot. I don't need this. It's where I was just fooling around a little bit. And we'll give NetBeans a second go. So let's create a new class. I call it Mind Practice. You can call yours whatever you want. I'm going to comment out a bunch of this stuff, and I'm going to leave it on the screen for your own amusement. Now, the first one we're going to be talking about is postfix. And postfixes equal some sort of an expression. Say like you create a integer x equals 1. This right here is the expression. So let's just say the expression and then the plus plus. I'm going to put these out in order that the compiler compiles them when it sees them. So it would do this one first, which is the expression plus plus, or the expression minus minus. And what these do is these are this is it increments and decrements, meaning this decreases your expression by 1 and this increases your expression by 1. But before we show some examples of that, let me show you some more of the other ones. The next one is the unary. The unary is basically the opposite. It's going to be plus plus the expression, and this basically does the same thing, but it actually increments it before it displays it. I'll give y'all an example of this later on in this tutorial, but right now I'm just trying to show you which ones come up first. And there's the minus minus expression. Then we also have our plus expression and our minus expression. Actually, I shouldn't have been calling these plus or minus, because this is actually negative your expression and this one is positive your expression. Just like in mathematics, when you put a little negative at the front of it, that's basically what it's saying. It's checking your negative expression or your positive expression. This right here, you don't have to put this right here because it's going to be by default a positive expression. The next one is multiplicative, and you should be pretty familiar on how these work. If not, I'm going to show you how they work in Java, well, at least, but you should know what they are if you've ever taken second grade mathematics. It's basically your multiplication, which would be that in second grade, but in Java it's expressed by the shift 8, and it gives you this little star. That's just your multiplication symbol in Java and the majority of every other programming language. The next one is our division, and it is expressed with the /, which would be where your question mark is right by your shift button. So, yeah. And then we have this one. And this is your remainder. Basically, if you did a calculation, it would give you what the remainder was out of the calculation instead of giving you what the actual calculation was. The next one is the additive. And this one also, if you've taken first grade mathematics, then you should know what this one is. These are basically your pluses and your minuses. Well, your added, your addition, and your subtraction would probably be what you learned it as. The next one is our shift. The shifts, basically, they're byte shifts, and what they do is they move the bytes, like your ones and your zeros, over and whatnot like that. That's all they do. I'm not going to go over them in this tutorial. I'll probably go over them in a future tutorial, but that's really should be a tutorial on its own just to show y'all, because I'm going to have to teach you how to do binary code to even teach you how to do that. But I'm not going to teach you that in the tutorial. The next one is relational. If you've been in, let's say, third grade mathematics or anything like that, then this one should be familiar. It's your less thans, your greater thans, your less than or equal to's, and your greater than or equal to's. And we use them a lot in if statements. So they're pretty commonly used. The next one is your equality. And equality is pretty much your equals, and in Java you have to put two equals to compare them. If you say just one equal sign, then it's only going to give you it's going to give that element the value of the other element. It's not a comparison. This one is equality as in the comparison. That's why you give it two equal signs, or you'll just confuse Java and yourself. The next one is your not equal to, which is the exclamation point and equals. And basically it's saying if it's not equal to it. We're going to go over these a little better. I'm going to show you some examples. Then you have your bitwise. Your bitwise and this one we're also not going to go over. If I have a little bit more time, I might go over it, but I'm not going to go over it. Let me minimize this. See, I'm already going into the minutes. The next one would be the bitwise OR, and the bitwise OR, it's actually a bitwise exclusive OR, because there's two types, inclusive. We're not going to go over this one either. Anything with the bitwise, I want y'all to know that they're out there in case you want to learn a little more about them. I'll probably teach them in later tutorials, but right now I'm really not wanting to teach them in operators. I want to get you familiar with things we are going to use throughout our tutorials more commonly. If we come across something that we need one of these bitwise or these bit shifts, we'll use them then. And then we have the bitwise inclusive OR, and it is equal to the straight little line like that. And you can find this little line right here right above the enter. It's shift and the little button right above the enter, which is the shift backslash. And then we have these we will use, so I'm going to show y'all some examples of these in this tutorial. It's the logical and it is equal to and. And these basically are saying, we use them a lot, and also in if and while loops and all that stuff. And they basically say it has to meet these two conditions before it can go on. And that's what that and is. And then you have your logical or, and this is similar to the and, but it says that it can be this one or this one for it to go on. And then we have the ternary, which is and this is actually a shorthand of the if statement, if then else statement. And we're going to show you that one too, because that one's also a bit helpful whenever you're not trying to do a bunch of stuff. Then that one's a good one to have. Then we have our assignment operators.